What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to do some predictions. And of course the MLB All-Star Game is coming up, and along with that comes the MLB All-Star Futures Game, featuring the top minor league baseball prospects competing in a 7-inning game. These are my predictions for the 2022 MLB Futures Games roster. Note for this video, each team must have at least one player on the Futures Game roster. There's a roster for the AL and a roster for the NL, of course. And we're going to go in order, in alphabetical order, team by team. And let's go ahead and start off in the Arizona Diamondbacks. And their representative for the MLB Futures Game is going to be Corbin Carroll. Corbin Carroll's their number one prospect right now. And even though he is currently on the 7-day injured list, he was their first-round pick back in 2019, 16th overall. And Corbin Carroll this year in 58 games managed to hit 16 home runs, 39 RBIs, and a .313 batting average with a .430 on-base percentage, of .643 slugging, and a 1,073 OPS. That was just, like I said, in 58 games. That's what a lot of people in the minor leagues would be happy with a whole season of, and Corbin Carroll did that in just 58 games at the age of 21. When he gets back, he probably will see a promotion to AAA and could be in the majors as soon as this season. Let's go and head to the Atlanta Braves at shortstop Vaughn Grissom. Grissom might have the chance to be the best Braves prospect there is when the next prospect rankings come out. And he's been in high A Rome this year at the age of 21, hitting .297 with 9 home runs and 48 RBIs and 18 stolen bases and an .839 OPS. You know, these may not be the most exceptional stats, but probably the best in the Braves organization, considering they traded guys like Shea Langeliers. And a lot of their best prospects have ended up being traded, or like Michael Harris, they're already up in the major leagues, which brings Vaughn Grissom as their lone representative. Let's go ahead to possibly the best farm system in baseball, Baltimore Orioles. Let's start off with the Orioles' first round CBA pick back in 2020 out of Mississippi State, Jordan Westburg. Westburg has spent this year in AA and AAA, hitting .281 with 15 home runs and 52 RBIs and a .903 OPS. He's had a really good year, and people saw this as a big reach when they drafted him in the first round back in 2020, and I tended to agree. But in 67 games, he has had a really solid year. And like I said, this is another year that a lot of players in minor league baseball would probably be happy with in a whole season instead of just really half a season. And next, let's go and head to possibly their future shortstop, Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson also has spent this year between two teams, AA and AAA. AA Bowie and AAA Norfolk. Gunnar Henderson this year has played mostly shortstop and has hit .312 with 13 home runs and 50 RBIs and over 1,000 OPS, 15 stolen bases, and 234 at-bats. He was their second-round pick back in 2019, and it's looking to be a pretty good one because at the age of 21, he looks like he could be a guy that possibly gets called up at some point this year, depending on with what happens at the deadline, and could be their future shortstop, and likely their future shortstop, which could depend what they do in the draft this year. Next up for the Boston Red Sox, let's go with an exciting pick here, and we're going to go with their third rounder from 2020. I'm sure just about everybody knows his name, Blaze Jordan. Blaze Jordan has had a pretty solid year with low A and could definitely be in for a promotion to high A, where he's hit 8 home runs, 42 RBIs, and a .307 batting average with a .369 on base percentage, a .492 slugging, and an .861 OPS. This guy's been really good in 67 games, and of course we knew this kind of was going to be a steal. Him being in the third round was a pretty big steal in the first place, but getting Blaze Jordan in the third round, and yes, they definitely did pay more slot value for him with them drafting Nick York in the first round that year, but still, he has been really good and definitely kind of is considered, or what could be considered, their first round pick that year. And next up is Cedinha Raffaelli. And he has had a really good year as well. So this year he has spent this year between high A and double A, and he has had 14 home runs with 52 RBIs and a .314 batting average, .357 on base percentage, a .586 slugging, and a .942 OPS this year. That's a really good year in 66 games between, like I said, high A and double A, and he's performed pretty well in double A since going up there as well. He definitely deserves a spot in this futures game and definitely could be maybe the top prospect for the Red Sox if Tristan Cassis is no longer there. For the Chicago Cubs, they have one and only representative. That has to be PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, who was the Mets' first-round pick back in 2020, and they ended up trading him in the trade to get Javier Baez, of course, and he came out of Harvard Westlake High School in Los Angeles, California, which obviously is a pretty big school that has produced players like Lucas Giolito, Max Fried. They've produced a lot of great players, and Pete Crow Armstrong looks to be the next. He started this year in Low A Myrtle Beach and got promoted pretty quick. He's hitting for a 329 average this year with 9 home runs and 36 RBIs, and 398 on base percentage, and a 550 slugging, and a 948 OPS. This guy looks like a guy that could be a maybe 20 home run guy in the major leagues while hitting for a really high average. Pete Crow Armstrong has a lot of potential in the major leagues. And let's go and head to the south side of Chicago for the Chicago White Sox. And as much trash as the White Sox farm system can get from people, their farm system actually hasn't been too bad. The first guy that I want to go to is Lenyn Sosa. This guy has had a big year this year. 14 home runs, 49 RBIs, and a 337 average, 388 on base percentage, and a 942 OPS. Now, he did spend a little bit of this year, like 2 games in the major leagues with the Chicago White Sox, but Lenyn Sosa has had a really good year this year between AA and AAA. Currently, he's with AAA Charlotte right now, and he had a decent year last year, but he's just turned this on to a whole nother level. He's got more home runs this year. His batting average is almost 60 points higher. His on-base percentage is 88 points higher, over 100 points higher for his slugging percentage, and over 200 for his OPS. Lenyn Sosa has had a great year. He's going to be our first representative for the Chicago White Sox. Next one is going to be Colson Montgomery. Colson Montgomery was their first rounder, of course, in 2021. And he has been a really good first-round pick so far. Spending this year between low A and high A, hitting 6 home runs with 31 RBIs and a 330 average with a 430 on base percentage and a 927 OPS. He's had a really good year this year between low A and high A. And Colson Montgomery should make the futures game. And another representative for the Chicago White Sox, we have third baseman Brian Ramos, of the same team of course, Colson Montgomery in high A with the Winston-Salem Dash. And Brian Ramos has had a really good year, hitting 13 home runs with 44 RBIs, a 261 average, a 336 on base percentage, and an 805 OPS. Really good year so far for Brian Ramos. The Reds have one singular representative, and that's going to be left-hander Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott has been by far probably their biggest surprise in the farm system. They drafted him with their second-round pick back in 2021 out of Virginia, and he's been really good. And he's already 23, but still, this year he's had a 7-3 record with a 3.67 ERA in 14 games and 13 starts and 68 innings and 95 strikeouts and a 1.18 whip. Now, that doesn't totally show all of it because he dominated Dayton when he was there, and yeah. Next up, for the Cleveland Guardians, we have their first rounder also from last year, Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams has had an awesome year. You know, the Guardians developing him has just been really good. They drafted him 23rd overall out of East Carolina, and he arguably could have been a top 5 pick pitching like this. 2-2 this year with a 1.66 ERA in 12 games started. Also is in AA with AA Akron for them, and he has been really good. The next guy is an outfielder, George Valera. He could possibly be their number 1 prospect just as much as Gavin Williams could be. George Valera is 21, and he 13 home runs, 47 RBIs, and a 286 batting average with a 390 on base percentage and 906 OPS in AA Akron. He's been hitting really well as well. Next up for the Colorado Rockies, they have one representative, and that is going to be, of course, Ezekiel Tarver, who has been probably one of the biggest guys that have went up boards since the start of this year. He's hitting .318 this year with 13 home runs and 47 RBIs and a .386 on base percentage and a .931 OPS. He's hit really good this year in AA Hartford, and he could definitely be in for a promotion to AAA. And next is the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers have had a really bad farm system this year. Sorry, Tigers fans. But the only guy reasonable to go with here is going to be right-hander, their second-round pick last year, Ty Madden out of Texas. This guy was an arguable top 10 pick, but fell all the way to pick number 32 in the CBA round. And he's performed pretty well in high A with a 3-4 record, with a 2.98 ERA and 14 games started, 61 innings, 63 strikeouts, and a 1.04 WHIP. He's pitched pretty well this year. He's going to be the only representative for Detroit. Next up for the Houston Astros, I'm going to go with right-handed pitcher Hunter Brown, who has been pretty decent this year. Like I said, another not that great farm system. I was considering putting Colin Barber here, who's been raking in high A. But he's had a record of 5-3 this year with a 2.42 ERA. He was a 5th-round pick back in 2019 out of Wayne State. He's had 15 games, 10 started. He could be in the Astros rotation by the end of the year. Next up, the Royals have had a really bad farm system as well, but I'm going to go with Ben Kernda. Do I think he's the best player in their organization? Probably not, but AC Lacy doesn't deserve it. Frank Mazzucato doesn't deserve it. And he's kind of the only deserving guy. He's 0-3 this year with a 1.96 ERA in just 7 games in low A Columbia. He's performing pretty well, and he was their 2nd-round pick last year. Next up for the Los Angeles Angels, I'm going to go with their best prospect, in my opinion, Jeremiah Jackson. Jackson has been a guy that has gotten even better this year and could make a bid to be in the top 100 when the new top 100 comes out. Hitting this year 7 home runs with 21 RBIs and a 353 or a 266 average. You know, it's not been great this year, but Jeremiah Jackson is going to be the representative for the Los Angeles Angels. For the Dodgers, they also have one of the best farm systems in baseball while having one of the better teams in baseball as well. And their first representative is going to be Michael Busch. Michael Busch has been really good this year. Shocker, shocker. In AAA, he's had 19 home runs, 57 RBIs, and a 271 batting average, and a 370 on base percentage, and a 924 OPS. He was their first-round pick, 31st overall back in 2019, and Michael Busch has been everything they expected. Next up is Diego Cartaya, catcher. Cartaya is one of the top prospects in baseball, and he's been really good this year. 14 home runs, 48 RBIs, and a 281 batting average with a 418 on base percentage and a 985 OPS. He's had a really good year in high A, and he's only 20 years old, which is really exciting if you're a Dodgers fan. And next up is going to be Miguel Vargas, their last guy that is going to be a representative. And Vargas, also with AAA, Oklahoma City, and he has had 12 home runs, 56 RBIs, 294 batting average, a 385 on base percentage, and a 892 OPS. He's had a pretty good year himself. And let's go ahead to the Miami Marlins, where the first guy is going to be Yuri Perez, who pitched really well last year, but he's pitched even better this year. It just continues to add to the tons of talent that the Miami Marlins have pitching-wise. He's had a 3-1 record this year with a 3.21 ERA, 12 games started, 56 innings pitched, and 77 strikeouts, and a 0.96 WHIP. One guy that I do think, though, in the Marlins organization that needs some more hype is left-handed pitcher Jake Eder. Jake Eder is a guy that is on the 6th. Oh, well, he's not even pitched this year. Wow. Let's go ahead to the next team, and the Milwaukee Brewers and Joey Weimer. Joey Weimer has been one of the biggest risers as well in these past couple of years. He was their 4th-round pick out of Cincinnati in 2020. And so far in AA, he's hit 15 home runs, 45 RBIs, 263 batting average, a 346 on base percentage, and an 846 OPS, and above average runner, stealing 22 bases and 51 runs and 69 hits. He's been really good. Next up is going to be Jackson Chourio, a catcher. Jackson Chourio has been pretty good as well, and playing outfield at only 18 years old, hitting .318 with 8 home runs and 37 RBIs in low A Carolina this year. He's been pretty good. Now let's go ahead to the Minnesota Twins and Matt Quintero. Their farm system also hasn't been anything to really brag about. He's currently on the 7-day injured list and has been 0-1 with a 1.83 ERA and 11 starts this year, but of course he is on the injured list, so we'll see if he actually is the representative. Next up for the New York Mets, of course, Francisco Alvarez. He's the top 10 prospect in baseball, and he has definitely performed as such this year. He could be up to the majors as soon as this year, I would say. Alvarez has been really good. 18 home runs, 47 RBIs, and a 277 batting average, and a 368 on base percentage, and a 926 OPS in AA. I think he could definitely be in the majors by the end of this year. Next up for the New York Yankees, we're going to go to Ken Waldich, who has been really good this year. Round 5 pick in 2019 by the New York Yankees, but they have developed him into a really good pitcher, and he could be somebody who's in their rotation by the end of the year. Having a 6-2 record with a 2 ERA in 13 games started, and 63 innings, 95 strikeouts. He's been really, really good. And the New York Yankees are probably going to call him up this year. For the Oakland Athletics, it's going to be Shea Langeliers, who they got back in the trade, of course, for Matt Olson, and he definitely has been worth what they thought he would be because he has been really good. He was the 9th round pick by Atlanta back in 2019 out of Baylor. And this year he's had 13 home runs, 36 RBIs, a 276 batting average, 372 on base percentage, 878 OPS, and way better than Tyler Soderstrom's been this year. He definitely deserves the nod for the Oakland Athletics. Next up for the Philadelphia Phillies, Andrew Painter. I knew that Painter would be a good pick after last year's draft, but I didn't know that he would be this good. 1-1 record with a 1.94 ERA in 10 games started, 41 innings, 73 strikeouts, and a 0.98 whip between low A and high A this year. And currently he is with high A Jersey Shore. And next up for the Pittsburgh Pirates, we're going to head first to their first overall pick last year, Henry Davis. Davis didn't last very long in high A this year as he got promoted pretty quickly through the season. And Henry Davis this year has had 7 home runs, 31 RBIs, a 276 batting average, a 408 on base percentage, and a 905 OPS. He should make a bid to be the starting catcher next year for Pittsburgh. Next up is going to be a guy that really has had a breakout season this year, Matt Gorski. Matt Gorski currently did get placed on the injured list, unfortunately for him. But so far, he has had 23 home runs, 60 RBIs, 17 stolen bases, a 294 average, a 375 on base percentage, a 1,000 OPS. He has 6 or 7 home runs in one series in high A, which helped him get promoted. And obviously, he is 24 years old, which he probably should be dominating high A at 24 years old. Next up for the San Diego Padres, Robert Hassell. Robert Hassell is their best prospect by far. Robert Hassell has showed why they drafted him 8th overall, even if it was a question. Hitting .307 this year with 8 home runs and 43 RBIs in high A Fort Wayne. 372 on base percentage and 845 OPS. He's been really, really good this year. And he's developing that power even more and developing into a guy who's going to be 20 home runs, 300 batting average, a really good player for them. Next up for the Seattle Mariners, we're going to go to their right-handed pitcher, Emerson Hancock. Emerson Hancock is really, really good. Hancock was drafted by the Seattle Mariners 6th overall in 2020 out of Georgia. And this year he's had a 1-2 record with a 3.03 ERA in AA and 8 games started. Not a large sample size at all this year, but that's kind of going to be the case with the starting pitchers only pitching, once every week. And next up, we're going to go to their shortstop in the minor league system, or a shortstop, Edwin Arroyo. Edwin Arroyo also has had a really good year. They drafted him in the 2nd round last year, and he's had a really good year in single A. Hitting 12 home runs, 50 RBIs, and a 319 batting average, and a 391 on base percentage, and a 921 OPS. Even though he is only 18 years old, he could be up to the majors probably by 2023 or 2024. Next up for the San Francisco Giants, they're going to go with their left-hander, Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison is probably their best prospect right now. For AA this year, he's had a 2-2 record with a 2.83 ERA in 13 games. Started 60 innings and 109 strikeouts with a 1.09 whip. He should be seeing a promotion to AAA soon. Next up for the St. Louis Cardinals, of course, the biggest steal of the last few years' draft so far has been Jordan Walker, especially in 2020 where he was drafted 21st overall out of Decatur High School in Georgia. And he's hit 7 home runs, 31 RBIs, a 309 batting average, a 403 on base percentage, and a 903 OPS. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called up this year. This guy is hitting over 300 as his career average in the minor leagues. He's been absolutely insane for the St. Louis Cardinals. And they have another representative, a shortstop, Mason Wynn, who I think could get into the top 100 as well. Mason Wynn was their second-round pick back in 2020. They really had a good draft in 2020. He hit 6 home runs, 33 RBIs, 22 stolen base, and a 304 batting average with 371 on base percentage and a 877 OPS. Let's go and head to the Tampa Bay Rays, where their first candidate, of course, is going to be Taj Bradley. He has just had such a good year this year and looks like the future ace of this team. Taj Bradley was their 5th-round pick in 2018. That just shows you how good the Rays do with pitching. 3-1 record this year with a 1.65 ERA in 14 games, 65 innings pitched, and 76 strikeouts and a 0.92 whip. And the other guy's going to be Curtis Mead, who just got a promotion to AAA Durham for them, and he deserved it, clearly. Hitting 11 home runs, 39 RBIs, and a 305 batting average, and a 396 on base percentage, and a 949 OPS. The Rays are just so good with developing players. For the Texas Rangers, one that has to be in here is shortstop Jonathan Ornelas, who's had a really big year this year so far in AA Frisco, hitting 7 home runs, 32 RBIs, and a 335 batting average, 373 on base percentage, and an 831 OPS in 65 games this year compared to last year, where he's almost up 100 points batting average wise, almost up 100 points OBP wise. Same thing with just every category. He has been much better this year. Apparently changed his swing a little bit, and it has helped him a lot. Another guy for the Texas Rangers, Cole Reagans. He's had a really good year this year. He might join the rotation at some time this year, which is probably about time, considering he was drafted in the first round in 2016. But he's 6-4 this year with a 2.50 ERA in 13 games started in AAA. And the final guy is going to be Owen White. This is his first real year in the minor league system, and he is moving through it pretty quickly, with him being their 2018 second rounder out of Carson High School in North Carolina. And he's at age 22 right now and has had an 8-2 record with a 3.63 ERA, which the stats may not show as good as he's actually doing, but he had some rough starts at the start of this year. But yeah, he's been really good. Next up for the Toronto Blue Jays is going to be Ricky Tiedemann, left-hander, who was their 3rd-round pick back in 2021. And he's had a 5-2 record with a 1.71 ERA in 13 games. Started 63 innings pitched and 96 strikeouts and a 0.81 whip. And he's been really good this year with their high team, Vancouver Canadians. And the final guy for the Washington Nationals, Cole Henry. Cole Henry has also been very good this year. He was their 2nd-round pick in 2020, and he's currently on the 7-day injured list, but he had a 1.71 ERA before going down and getting injured. AAA is where he's at level-wise right now. And yeah, those are my futures games predictions. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications. Thank you for watching, and peace.